Yo, what is up, y'all? This is Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS Podcast, episode 229. And we are back on a fine Thursday night, feeling all right. Cancel plans have taken flight. Oh, I don't know. I'm just rhyming here. Hey, I'm your host, SloMoBackSlap, your co-host here, Gaming Forte. What's up, Forte?
What up, though? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine. I just got home. Daughter played in her last concert in 8th grade band for middle school. Off to high school now to do it all over again in high school and get ready for. She got band camp next week and preparation for Thanksgiving Day parade that they're going to be in.
Nice. What you been playing? Sir?
Doom. That's it. And that's been off and on. Haven't really played anything else.
I need you to get back to the expedition.
I will. I do got. I actually take that back.
To take down the Paintress man. This is what we need from you.
You need me to do that? I actually did. Now that I think about it, I did play a little bit of Expedition on my laptop at work when I was on break one day, like an hour of it or 45 minutes of it, but I haven't played enough since the last. Is it the parrying? Is that kind of? Oh no, I ain't got no
dodging.
Problem. No, I don't have any issues with the game. I just haven't. It's like I've been scatterbrained on it, off and on, playing things, kind of trying to figure out exactly what the next thing I wanted to do was. But that's it. I'm gonna finish it though. I gotta finish it, especially since you and
skeptical.
You and Hamp, you should be skeptical. Now, how long it's gonna take me to finish it is the whole other thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm skeptical. Sir, do you know I have 100% of the game?
Twice, didn't you?
Yes.
Pretty much? Yeah.
How do you know I did it twice?
Because I know you, and especially when you told me, when you called me one day and said, "Don't judge me," I was like, "Oh, he."
Oh, no, I said that on the podcast last week.
Oh yeah,
I said that.
Yeah. When you said, "Don't judge me," I was like, "Oh, this dude about to do this twice." He already in.
Yeah, I 100% it on Steam, and I 100% it on Xbox, and I am at the end, and I'm further than you on PlayStation.
That's fine, but are you gonna platinum it on PlayStation?
Yeah, of course.
You.
Wow. I'm a what? Say it. I'm a what? Huh?
You are the African American version of Attic. That's what you are. y'all just be. I don't get it. Like how y'all can play a game that is that. How long has each of your playthroughs been, roughly?
Well, I mean, to do everything, you're looking at probably about 70 hours.
So that's like 200 hours.
And I think on Steam my first time. So I would have 100%ed it if I understood that I probably should have gone into New Game Plus when I did. So I beat the game. And then I went to New Game Plus. And then I didn't realize that like some things reset. So like you keep your levels, you keep your weapons, you keep your Pictos and Luminous, but you don't keep the music records, you don't keep the expedition journals that you find. You don't keep like the quest that I understood that the quest would reset, but like I probably should have looked at the achievements list before I did the New Game Plus, and then I probably should have double checked to make sure that I didn't get to keep those things, because if I would have definitely just did it all before going into New Game Plus, because then it takes longer to get those things in, because you gotta progress through each act before you get to really where you could actually complete everything. And there's some things you can't complete things until Act 3. There's some achievements that or trophies you can't get until you do the final mission. So it's it took longer on Steam because of that. On Xbox, I don't know what my hours are on Xbox, but yeah, I did the 100% of that, and I didn't go into New Game Plus. So I'll probably do the same thing on PlayStation. I mean, I already have an idea of all the builds I want to do and where everything is, so it'll be faster when I do it on PlayStation.
Yeah, but don't you got NightReign coming out tomorrow?
I'm a little. We're gonna discuss NightReign.
Yeah, I know, but no, you might be. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I know you like Elden Ring, and
this ain't really.
There's no. Yeah, I know it's more co-op focused than anything, online focused, but there's no way you're not gonna play this game tomorrow.
Well, I mean, look, it's got 200K gamers on it on Steam right now, which is great. Like, that's a great start.
You gonna be
although when it comes to live service games, how things start doesn't necessarily mean everything or anything in the long run. But we'll discuss it because this is one of the rapid fire topics for later.
We'll discuss it, but
shout out to Mitchy Dies a lot and Glintstone in the chat. Hope you guys are having a good one.
This man literally
are you
that I said I wasn't gonna do it, but then I went and did it anyway. Oh my,
that was a thing. No, anyway, look, yeah, I 100% did on the Xbox and I'm working on PlayStation. It's fine, whatever. I also have been playing other things. I played the Division 2 Battle for Brooklyn.
Trash.
It's you just hating.
Maybe
because I know you ain't played it.
I just said trash. I didn't say it was trash. I just said trash when you said
at the same trash at the time that you said it is implying that you're saying that the DLC is trash.
No,
we ain't playing these games, sir.
My daughter could have been asking me like, "What's this?" and I could have just said trash.
Yeah. Okay. Did she?
Do you really?
No. So yeah. Because if you're gonna throw that out there,
I mean, if you can believe what you want to believe, I just said the word.
Oh,
trash.
We all do believe you were calling it trash.
You know what else is trash?
Yeah. Anyway.
You know what else is trash? You know what else is trash? Yep, sure is.
No. So look, I've been playing Battle for Brooklyn. It is pretty good. My only really nitpicks, not really nitpicks, but it's just like it's annoying that there's some bugs, man. And I know there are other people, and I don't want to dismiss their concerns. When you spend money on something, because the DLC is like I think $15. I paid for it. I just didn't really look at how much it cost. I think it was $15. But like when you spend your money on something, you expect it to work. And I've been seeing people, a lot of people commenting that they can't get into it. Like there's errors going on whenever they try to log in, and we have a game that's an always online game that you have to log in order to even get in the game. Like that's just not acceptable. And so there's that. I wanted to acknowledge that because that's definitely an issue that's going on. For myself, I didn't have any login issues, but I did have issues with like my skills not working correctly. So if I deploy a turret or I deploy a drone, and then I'm telling that drone to attack an enemy, and then nothing happens, and I'm just like, "Yo, attack!" And it's just hovering above my head. Like, what do you do? Drone, go. And it's just like, nah, I ain't going. And so I gotta like cancel the drone and then reissue it after its cooldown to get it to go. And that's just like, that gets you out of the flow of the gameplay. It's a little annoying. I do like the way like the new Brooklyn area looks. You can see some of the foundation of the old area from Division 1 there. And I do like that they brought back a lot of weapons, and they brought back smart cover from the first game and other like callbacks to gear sets, weapons and skills, but it's a bit buggy. And I understand that like Massive Entertainment is working on Division 3, and they got some other little small Ubisoft team working on this game, but you can't launch with these kind of issues. It's just not acceptable. Still playing Borderlands 1 Game of the Year edition. I think I'm probably about halfway, a little bit more than halfway through. My build's kind of coming together, although I do think I might need to make some changes to my proposed or planned build for Lilith, because I like how I like to play. I don't want to use Lilith as like a melee focused character, and it seems as if a lot of the abilities that she has, a significant number of them are melee focused, and I did, in planning out the build I wanted to do, avoid a lot of that melee focused stuff. But even I see now, like the capstone skills like Phoenix is like every time I kill an enemy, it sends out a wave of fire. But like, I guess I misinterpreted it, or I wasn't paying attention when I put it together, but it's only sending waves of fire around me. And I thought it would be sending a wave of fire from the enemy that I killed, which seems to make more sense to me. But if you're making a melee focused build, then having a fire explosion happen every time you kill someone and you're melee focused, so enemies are real close to you, that seems to make a lot of sense. But not for how I'm playing the game. So I might have to make some changes. We'll see. But there's that. And the gameplay you're seeing right here is Splitgate 2. And I guess this is the open beta phase at this point right now. And it's a lot of fun, man. I'm enjoying it. This is, I would rather play this than Call of Duty. I think that says a lot. So it's been a good time. Although they, I think we talked about it last week. They had a lot of server issues and they couldn't get things online. That has been resolved. It took a little while, but I so far haven't had any issues since then getting into matches, and it's been pretty fun. So yeah, that's about it. That's what I've been playing. I'm gonna start a new RPG next week. I think I'm gonna give it a shot. I bought this JRPG called The 100 Line Last Defense Academy. Mm-hmm. That name is long as hell. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot. I might, after Expedition, I don't know if I really have the mental stamina for another JRPG that might be super long, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And then if I like it, I might. It'll be in the rotation. So yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? We can just get into these rapid fires, man.
Get it to them.
We can get into these rapid fire topics. That sounded like glass breaking more than bullets, didn't it?
Oh my.
Let me try it again.
Sound like sound like I just went through a car wash and somebody forgot to roll the window down. That's what that sounds like.
All right, I'm gonna get a better first rapid fire. Okay, all right, fine. So look, Apple is set to launch a dedicated gaming app, and this is in lieu of the courts forcing them to allow other companies, when it comes to gaming, to make money and to get microtransactions processed outside of the Apple Store, whatever the heck Apple uses, iTunes, whatever they're using, in order to steal 30% from everyone else. Still sounds bad. I mean, it is your platform, but like so they've been forced to open things up, and it seems like they are now taking the tack that we'll make an app that will convince the iPhone community or Apple community in general, because this is going to be an app that will be pre-installed on your Apple device, on an iPhone, an iPad, Mac computers, and Apple TV. It's going to be on anything that they make, essentially. And as I said, it will serve as a launcher of all the games that you have accessible on that Apple device, with achievements, its own set of achievements, leaderboards, and communication services for like multiplayer kind of games. So, Forte, what are your thoughts on Apple going this route?
I mean, it's the natural evolution for Apple. The main reason a lot of companies got into this whole ecosystem where they want to have their own storefront and everything is because Apple doesn't make games. They just house all the games and stuff, and they're like one of the, I think they're still the top, marketplace when it comes to like, people just buying and playing games and stuff.
Yeah. So, and I think
I
may need to be double checked on this, but I think they make $3 billion annually off of gaming alone, and they don't even make games.
Right, don't even make games. They just have a store.
Oh, well, they don't. They used to not make games because they also bought a developer this week.
Yeah, they bought
a mobile developer who no one's ever heard of. At least I'm pretty sure none of us have heard of this mobile. But still, that kind of shows like a difference in how they used to operate compared to now. Before, they were just getting free money for just having the platform. Now it seems like, all right, so we got to work for this revenue. Let's make an app, and then let's also start having some first party games like a real platform does. So,
right,
kudos to them, I guess.
No, yeah.
Anything else you want to say on this?
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's natural. It's something that I don't think they need to do. But if you're not improving your platform, then you're falling behind. Especially when you got other entities out there trying to do the same thing. I also think that some people are talking about how this is like kind of a combatant of the Switch too. Nintendo ain't worried about nothing that Apple is doing.
They're not. People just saying that because this is happening like very shortly after the launch of the Switch 2. Like Nintendo don't care.
Nintendo, trust me, Nintendo got the one thing. Listen, just like Disney has Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, kids are born. Even if we grow out of it, kids are born every day. Kids will always. No, I won't say they will always lean in that direction, but those are the safe things that we want our kids to grow up and play because, we don't, want them, interacting with the other stuff. Same thing with Nintendo. Shuhei Yoshida said it best in an interview that he did when he said that, Nintendo basically ushers the younger generation in, teaches them how to play with controllers, and then in his mind, PlayStation takes them the rest of the way because they come over to PlayStation after that. So it's never going to be an effect. I think Nintendo's one of those as long as they don't screw it up, they will always be around because they built the ecosystem around families and stuff. So Apple just happens to be in a very superior and dominant position when it comes to the mobile side of it, just due to the fact that they have the most popular, they
have a pop, like, I mean, an iPhone, your modern iPhone today is more powerful than the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
It's just got a smaller screen, but you could get a real cheap, kind of accessory to attach to it to give yourself like a very, like a handheld kind of feel. And although the market isn't for like those AAA kind of experiences, we saw like Capcom and other publishers try to, dip their toe in that water and quickly found out that no one cares about your games over there, but it is games that are different than your console or PC games for the most part that are there. And there is some crossover with some things like Genshin Impact, for example, but then you'll have games like, we just found out recently that Warzone Mobile is getting shut down. And so, if Call of Duty Warzone on mobile can't stay alive, then clearly it's a very, very different kind of market over there. So it's just, I think Nintendo's going to be fine, and Apple also is going to be just fine because they make very different kind of games, or the platform has very different kind of games. All right, anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
No, that's it.
All right. What is the okay? Oh, yeah. So second rapid fire topic. Yeah, Black Panther is canceled. Not the movie, but the game. The Marvel's Black Panther being created by EA has been canceled, and Cliffhanger Games, the studio that was created to make the game, has also been shut down. Now, this does not, for those who may get confused, this is not that Black Panther game, that Black Panther that you saw in the Marvel 1943 game. This is a completely different game that was announced and they never showed anything for. So, Forte, what's up, man? What do you think about this?
Wait, go ahead. My wife is literally calling. Hold on 1 second. You calling my phone.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I will go first. Shout out to Eric Jackson in the chat, man. What's up, Eric? So look, these Disney IPs are too expensive. The reason why we keep seeing these cancellations of these games that we're hyped for. We heard there's a Black Panther game. Like, first of all, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but a lot of people were somewhat perturbed when they were hearing that it was not going to be T'Challa as the Black Panther in the game. And then there were some other things that they thought were a little weird, but outside of that, people were still looking forward to it. But if the publisher is not confident in the product, and then you have to start weighing your options here. You're looking at the game in this current form and what they plan on doing, and you're like, you know what, I don't think this is going to sell that great. Mm-hmm. But you still got to pay Disney their money. Like, Disney don't play around. Like, we've seen some of these contracts that they have. We've seen the contracts they have for like the Spider-Man games that Insomniac and PlayStation make, and it's pretty extensive in how many ways Disney is getting paid massive percentages of the revenue from this game, and how quickly PlayStation needs to deliver that money. And I have it on good authority that that structure of that contract, the numbers may be different depending on the IP, but the structure of the contract is the same. And so Black Panther is a very popular character in the MCU and just popular in general. Disney probably negotiated some high numbers, and if that game was looking like some doo-doo chunks, they're probably like, we're not going to make our money back on this, so let's just go ahead and cancel it before we take this any further. That has also been CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, has explicitly said this before about the Star Wars IP back when they had it exclusive. And people wondered, why did they cancel so many Star Wars games? It was because of that, even though we were excited for those games, like 1313. EA felt, whether right or wrong, and I'm probably going to say wrong because it's EA, right? But right or wrong, EA felt that those games were not going to sell. Those single player experiences that they couldn't monetize with microtransactions and battle passes were not going to sell. And therefore, with the licensing fees they have to pay back to Disney, we just ain't going to do it.
Right. So
I think it's just kind of more of the same with that. What are your thoughts on that, Forte?
No, I think so too. Unless if they can't release a game if they don't feel, especially if you don't feel confident in it, especially during the climate that we're in right now. A lot of these games were greenlit during different times. I think the situation around Marvel is completely different now than it was even 5 years ago, because 5 years ago we were at the apex of what Marvel was. We saw the culmination of a 10-year journey in the movies, and ever since then, withstanding a couple of outliers like Thunderbolts and stuff like that, that's kind of subsided a lot. And then you take the situation of losing Chadwick and everything like that too when it comes to the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So a lot of people's mindset is just kind of different, not just with this game, but with just a lot of different things. So
do you think potentially the Chadwick Boseman Foundation, like his family, whatever they control, actors, they get their they either have like a trust or their family is controlling the likeness of them when they pass and kind of controlling things so that like Hollywood can't just go monetize your look and use AI for your voice and just run rampant, even though Epic did that with James Earl Jones and Fortnite with Vader anyway. But like to kind of avoid things like that, like some families' foundations be real vigilant on how that's used. So I wonder if because Chadwick passed away, unfortunately, that's why 1943 is set where it is, because they couldn't use the T'Challa that everyone would want to see. Like, not saying that they can't use T'Challa, period, because that character exists outside Chadwick Boseman, of course, but kind of to the degree of what people saw with Crystal Dynamics' Marvel Avengers. People saw Iron Man was like, that's not Iron Man. Not actual comic fans, but like, people who whose only exposure is the MCU. Yeah.
But that's also the thing too. It comes back to when you play licensed IPs are one thing. It's all, the thing about a licensed IP is you automatically have eyes on it due to the significance of the IP that it comes from. So when you hear, Destiny working on Star Wars, or you hear EA doing a Star Wars game, or that Machine Games is working on the Indiana Jones game and stuff like that, you instantly are pulling in a fan base that already knows what's going on, and you're just hoping you have an adoption rate that is satisfactory to that player base, or to the fans in general. So the reason that the Avenger game got such backlash is because we were in literally the height of Marvel at that time, and people saw this was like, listen, as much as it's just a video game, it's just like for me, when I see the Ryder twins in Mass Effect, and I'm sitting there like, my Mass Effect journey was all about Shepard. That's not my Shepard. I don't even know who these people. And then I'm seeing they dad wear the N7 armor. I'm like, he look cool. Why does he have that armor on? But just to say, it's just like people identify with different things. So when they saw when they saw Marvel, it just didn't identify with them. Like, everybody was, I think most people were excited to like have a actual Avenger game where you fly as Iron Man, as strong as Hulk, and you're a god like a god like Thor. But when you saw the characters, everything got detached, and you would think that it was like, oh well, these are fictional characters in a fictional world, but we have something that we grew up with like over a 10-year period. So I wouldn't be surprised with Chadwick's passing and them not being able to like kind of go in that direction with the likeness of the character, that they did have to pivot. And now that they're seeing what the landscape of gaming is looking like, they probably looked like, we don't think this game might do fine, but will it do good enough to like continue development and then recoup some of the money back? They probably just made a decision like, everything is kind of changed now, just like, what PlayStation's doing with their live service initiatives. A lot, the things that people were making 10 years ago aren't relevant right now. Things have changed all the time. It's very rare that you get a game that was made, 10 years ago, like Cyberpunk, and it kind of still hits like it's supposed to hit. And then you start thinking about games like, how long has Expedition 33 been in development? But that game has its own identity. And the thing about, the games we're talking about when it comes to like licensed IPs, they have a identity already established. So are people going to be interested in that? And I'm surprised, that's why you're seeing a bunch of Dune games. How many Dune games have came out since the first Dune came out in movie theaters? You're seeing more and more.
It's been about 2 or 3. Yeah. It's good because the IP is more popular now, and then people are pitching ideas to whoever owns the IP of Dune now. I mean, I don't know who that is. I know Frank Herbert created it, but Frank Herbert died before he even finished the series. So, like, I don't know who's running that now, but just kind of like people pitch ideas to them, and if they think the idea is great, and it actually fits what the series is, and it's not like contradictory, or it doesn't feel like it's not Dune, then you know they're gonna go ahead and approve that. It's kind of why we see so many Warhammer games, and it'd be from a different developer in a completely different kind of game. But you know, when you have a popular IP and people have pitched exactly right.
But you know, in finishing it out, you know, it's a reason that as much as people can't stand J.K. Rowling's, Hogwarts Legacy was never going to fail. It was not going to fail. Now, no one expected it to be what it was. Nobody expected
because it's a good game.
Nobody expected
it would have been successful if it was dog crap, but it wasn't dog crap. It was actually a good game, so therefore it did even better because it was good.
And it didn't matter how you felt about the creator and all of those things, because that is completely separate from what the IP itself is. And the fans of that IP came out in droves to experience that game, and the gaming side of the community embraced it. And then you saw a game finally topple over one of the giants in the community for the first time in over a decade, sell more copies of a game than Call of Duty did in a calendar year. And that is what and guess what? The reason that could happen is because there was no, the IP itself didn't have any controversy around it. That has been written and put into, you know, the history books a long time ago. They just had to make a great game around the IP, and that's what they did. So we don't know if, you know, EA felt like they could do that with all the circumstances of Marvel going on. Yes, Marvel's doing better, but it's just like Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars is in such a decline. It's almost a gamble to make a Star Wars game based on how much the IP is worth and how much you have to put into it. Because trust me, there's a lot of standards that are in place that Disney probably puts on you to make one of those games, especially if you're trying to keep up with the lore. And the one thing that EA has definitely done with those type of games are they made them part of the lore. Like Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars and Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, that is part of the Star Wars lore. So if they're doing that for Star Wars, what do you think they're doing for Marvel? So maybe EA just didn't think they could like put that type of effort into it and get the return they wanted. Outside of they probably play tested the game and the game was horrible. That could have been it too. So I just think a lot of stuff changes over a 5-year period that people don't understand. And that's kind of why this stuff kind of happens.
Agreed. Anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
Nope. We are good.
All right. Third rapid fire topic.
Oh, really? I like that. Oh, really?
Elden Ring, NightReign is I guess officially out now. I thought it wasn't supposed to come out until tomorrow, but shout out to Still Rain in the chat. He says he's playing it already, so I guess if you play for early access or something, and you know he might have a key. You know, like Still Rain might have those kind of connections out here. I don't know, but I do think that so the game's out and the Metacritic score. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's also not it's not what you expect from Software. The Metacritic score is a 78. I looked at a few reviews about it because, shout out to Luca. Me and Luca were talking about playing it. Shout out to Erica and T-Rock as well. I talked to T-Rock during my Division stream. He was talking about like he and Erica are going to play it as well. And so I am somewhat interested in the game, but looking at some of the feedback, it seems to be something that's more fun to play with friends. not so much playing solo or playing with randoms. I saw one particular reviewer just kind of talking about just randoms not like playing smart, and there's like almost no communication with them, and so it kind of really hampers the experience. But it plays very differently than playing Elden Ring. Like it's very much, the circle is closing. It's a battle royale for those who don't know this. This is a live service battle royale game that's in the mold of Elden Ring. You have a lot of the same weapons, the same like look and world, even though each time you drop in, it's supposed to be random, and you're doing a lot of those different. A lot of the same things that you did in Elden Ring. Is just that you don't really have time to like really think about your build, think about what to use, you know, like leveling things up, or there's none of that. It is drop down, get what you can, equip it, keep moving. The circle apparently is very aggressive. If you play other battle royales, you know if you get caught outside the circle, it damages you. I've heard it's hyper aggressive and might need to get nerfed a little bit in NightReign. I don't know for certain, but I do think that like I think some people who see Elden Ring and see a new Elden Ring something and jump on it might be and they weren't already knowing ahead of time what this was, might be a bit confused when they finally play it. That said, it does have over 200k people playing it on Steam right now. So, you know, of course, this is just day one or day zero, who knows, right? And that could change, but it does seem to, despite the mixed reviews, seem to have a lot of attention on it right now. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Forte?
No, that game was gonna, well, that DLC was gonna do well out the gate just because of how successful the base game was. People, you know, never really completed that game, and people probably just got kind of tired of the things that they were doing, and the fact that they probably just went back in to do little things, and now that there's new content, it kind of has people go back in. I kind of akin it to like what's the name of that game that we played on PC, me, you, and Luca, Remnant. Like how we actually beat Remnant and we did mostly everything, but there were still parts of the game we didn't do, but we always come back for the DLC and stuff. I think we still need to go do the last deal, like the latest one, because I don't think we did that yet.
But this is very different than that. Like Remnants.
Well, I'm just saying, but that's what people are doing. Like people are going back, and you know, Elden Ring is one of those games that was so popular. A lot of people that didn't even appreciate that genre got into it, and then it kind of bit them it was a bug that bit them. So now, anytime something new comes out for it, they just want to jump in and experience, but this is a completely different experience. I actually think that's probably the biggest reason, outside of some of the smaller things that people were mentioning, is why it scored. I hate saying as low as it did, because I mean, but when you're trying to live up to
a 78 is not.
Yeah,
right. It's not a bad score. It's like a C. It's like a C+ grade, right? It's not a bad score, and it's not really indicative of like someone's personal enjoyment in a game. Like we always got to understand that you're supposed to take Metacritic with a grain of salt. It is a consensus, a weighted consensus, by the way, of media sources and their reviews, but that doesn't really take into account how you feel about the game. You could love the game. You could think it's worse than a 78. You know, it all depends on you and what your interests are. That said, it is a huge departure from what we have grown to expect from software. Like what was Elden Ring, like 97 or something like that? Something extremely high, like high 90s. High. Sekiro was, I think, in the 80s, but that won Game of the Year. Like they're just, now they are considered in a different category, where when you don't release something that's in the 90s, people kind of look at you sideways, like what happened there, you know. So it's a very different kind of game than what they are normally make, and I'm not saying that they should not make these kind of games. I know there are people that just like, hey, you're good at this, so you just do that. I think not everybody at a studio who works on these games will want to make the same game for forever. That's right. Typically, you know, people get tired of that. They want to do something different. If they can't do something different, then they leave. And so you don't have that talent anymore. You're going to have to grow at some point. So it is what it is. I may give it a shot this weekend. So it depends on time. Forte, are you going to play this at all?
No. I keep saying I was going to play the original. And the thing is, I own the original game too, and I just haven't. One of these days, maybe if SloMo comes in there and streams it with me, maybe that happen.
I can do that. You can do that.
I know you can do that. You would love to do that too.
Yeah. All right, fourth. I think this would be the fourth topic. Yeah. What?
You lost.
I'm not lost, man. I got it. Fourth topic. Fourth topic here. Rapid fire.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Cyberpunk 2, the sequel, the Cyberpunk 2077, has entered into pre-production, which means that we'll probably play this game sometime in 2030 by CDPR's pace. I know I saw some talk from people that was just like pre-production. They were like, it's been 5 years since you released the last one, the first one. So how are you just in pre-production? I'm like, hey, it's CDPR. So Forte, what are your thoughts on this?
Pre-production. Hey, how long did it take them to make the base game? What year did they announce
So that's what I was going to get into. So they announced the first game, I think it had to have been like 2012, 2013. And we didn't get it until, right. That was nothing. They showed us a screenshot, a cool render of a woman with the mantis arms.
Yep.
That was about it.
That was it.
Shout out to Gregor in the chat. He said this just means The Witcher is entering final stages. Like the way CDPR does their development, they're like double the size they were back when they were showing off Cyberpunk and they did The Witcher 3, but they still operate somewhat the same. They just got more projects that they have in the concept and pre-production stages than they do normally. Some of the games that they're working on are games that they've outsourced development to, like that Witcher remake. I think it's Witcher remake of the first one is outsourced, and there's another game that they're working on that's completely unannounced that they're working in conjunction with a support studio. But the Cyberpunk, people look at Cyberpunk, they look at when it was announced, and they look at when they released and say that game was in development for 7 years, right? 7 or 8 years. But it was actually really in development before it released for 2 years, because the studio did not have the developers to work on both Cyberpunk and Witcher 3 at the same time.
Right.
And so they had a skeleton crew doing the concept phase of Cyberpunk 2077 while the bulk of the studio was doing Witcher 3 and its DLCs. And when they were done with the final DLC, then they went into pre-production, then they went into production, and then they released the game 2 years too early. And so I would say it's going to come out before 2030. It's really just kind of dependent on when the new Witcher 4 comes out. If Witcher 4 comes out, like, say, next year, then I can see the next Cyberpunk coming out like 2 years later.
Right.
Because they have enough bodies now that where if you're in pre-production, you're basically just ready to go into full-on production with the game as soon as Witcher 4 goes gold, which isn't happening anytime soon. I'm not saying that's imminent or anything, but it's at the timetable is a lot faster than I think it seems, simply because they're a bigger studio now, and the popularity of Cyberpunk, which has sold probably well over 20 million copies at this point, is just as high as Witcher in a lot of different ways. And so it's probably getting higher as they come out with more entertainment forward in different media. So like we saw Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is the anime. They have another animated series for Cyberpunk coming out as well. So all of this, I think, is equaling to, you probably want to try to get this out sooner rather than later, which I do. I'm not advocating them release it 2 years too early like they did with the first game, but you get what I'm saying here. Like, it's not going to take another 5 years for this to come out.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, man. As soon as you said what game it was, I was like, this game's not coming until middle of next generation.
Which technically, I mean,
that's when Cyberpunk came out.
I mean, PlayStation 6 supposed to be out in 2027.
Yeah.
And
mid-year refreshes will be out.
I think it'll be before then. You think
it'll be before 20 what? So let me ask you this: which will be first? which game will be first? Elder Scrolls 6 or this?
Cyberpunk. You're gonna get the Cyberpunk sequel before you get Elder Scrolls 6. Actually, I don't know.
I got this for you then. Will this be
I don't know if I could talk about this.
No, don't talk about it.
No, I can't talk about it. No, I ain't talking about it. So
I'll ask you this then. Which will happen first? This coming out from CD Projekt Red, or the whole entire Halo franchise being on PS5?
I'm gonna say Cyberpunk, simply because I cannot see them porting Halo Guardians to PS5.
Oh yeah.
You can't even play Halo Guardians on PC.
Okay, minus Halo Guardians. Okay, we'll just say Halo mainline Halo.
Okay, hold on.
Halo, all the original Halos with Master Chief, all the way to
Infinite. I think so. Here's the deal. This is why that's difficult, because you could say, well, they could just put the Master Chief Collection on PlayStation, but then you got to look at it from a technical aspect. This is a game engine that's never been used on
anything outside of the Xbox and PC
right. It's never been used with a PlayStation game development kit. So there's going to be some adapting of that. How old it is. As we know. Then you gotta think about how old it is and how you're gonna need to want to spruce it up visually. So then you're gonna need to do that as well. So like, what's happening here? We'll say like this Gears of War Reloaded. Look at what they used. They basically remastered Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which also is a remaster of the original Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to need to do that with the Master Chief Collection, but the difference here is that they were able to, the Coalition and maybe who else is working on it, Unreal Engine has been used on PlayStation before, clearly. So it's easy to put Gears over there than it is to put a proprietary engine that's never worked on that at all, and to make sure everything is running properly and running well. So I think I still think Cyberpunk, simply because I think they're going to slowly transition Halo over to PlayStation with a Halo Combat Evolved first, possibly, okay. And then go from there. But then that will allow you to kind of do some kind of like TLC for each one. Let the previous one that you released breathe, and then you release another one, and then you can kind of just go for there. And by that time, I think the Cyberpunk game would be out.
Good point.
Okay, last rapid fire topic. You ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Studio. Wait, I forgot. All right, there we go.
Oh, that's a gunshot.
Yeah, that's a gunshot. So, last rapid fire topic. Studio Atlantis has been announced, and this is a new studio that is being led by. I'm butchering this guy's name, so I apologize in advance. But his name is Rue. Okay.
Don't even do it.
No, I have to try. You know what? No, I don't. Rue, the homie Rue. We call him Rue.
Rue L. That's what we'll call him.
No, because it's with a W. Rue W. Rue W. Okay, he is the co-founder of Ready at Dawn that made the Order 1886. And if you are aware, Ready at Dawn was acquired by Meta / Facebook and to make VR games. And then a few years ago, they were shut down.
Yep.
So he's got a new studio with his co-founder, Nico Augusto, currently working on a new game using Unreal Engine 5. I would love for them to make like a spiritual successor to the Order 1886. They don't own that IP. PlayStation does. But it would be, I think, what they were able to create with that, it had a lot of potential. Of course, it wasn't like the best game in the world, because it would have clearly reviewed better if it was. But I did think it was a decent game that could have used the sequel to really show what it could possibly do. And I hope whatever they make in the future is pretty good. What would you like to see them do, Forte?
I would like to see them I think Sony owns the rights to Order 1886.
Yeah, so they do.
They can't do that. But
you can do a spiritual successor.
I would like. That's what I was gonna say. I would like something along that line in that style, because that game still holds up today. When you look at that game, that's a good looking game. The best thing that they could do is make the controls significantly better in that game and get a little bit more deeper into the whole story elements of it. But I like the Lycan aspect that they had in the game and everything. So that's exactly what I would like to see them do. Something in that type of art style and that type of in the Victorian period, with crazy weapons and stuff, and it's ultra realistic in the graphical fidelity. And I think people it's one of those games that people will never appreciate at its fullest, due to the fact that it came out at the wrong time. A lot of people, if that was something that came out like today with just better gameplay, it would be like a game of the year contention, because that game was fun. Look wise, I was like, oh my God, this game looks incredible. But and the gameplay was really cool too. I just think it needs to be, I think it was like the Mass Effect 1 versus Mass Effect 2 conversation. The game is playable, but do you really want to play it that way? And I think if they tighten all that stuff up, it would just do wonders for a game like that. So that's what I would kind of like to hopefully see them do, especially since, they have the range to do whatever they want. And I think it would be something that's beneficial, because even though they don't own the IP, they can still talk about being, the creators of, games like the Order 1886, because Bungie does it all the time when they still say creators of Halo. So just because you don't make it, you are still a person that created that IP, and you can still lean into that. And I think that would get more eyes on the game too. So let's hope they do something like that. But it's always good to see developers doing the things that they want and funding their own studios, and it's just hope it works out for them.
Yeah, Gregor in the chat said they could actually potentially still do an Order sequel. They could just kind of similar to like Toys for Toys. Is it Toys for Bob?
Yeah, Toys for Bob.
Bob for Toys, something like that. Whatever that name is, right?
It's Toys for Bob.
Okay, so Toys for Bob, they got their independence from Activision, 8 from ABK, but their very first game is going to be a game that is, well, I mean, it wouldn't be exclusive anymore, but it's going to be published by Microsoft. So it could be, maybe potentially, they got a good relationship with Sony Interactive Entertainment. They could be making a game and could potentially use that IP. So, it's the door isn't completely closed, but just seems somewhat unlikely. But that's the last rapid fire topic. Ready to get into these main topics, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Forte, I hate to dig the knife in on Bungie, but they're dead. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't go that far yet. But
studio.
Bungie. So there are rumors that, and this is all started from the Sacred Symbols podcast with Colin Moriarty, that Sony has delayed marketing plans in one specific overseas market, which had people speculating that Sony may be delaying all marketing plans going forward, which could be something that someone would do when they're going to delay the game in general. Like, the game's going to get delayed, so of course you're going to delay the marketing, because why market a game that's not going to come out anytime soon? So, Forte, what are your thoughts on this here? Especially in light of everything that has occurred in the past, say, month or two with the plagiarism stuff, the lukewarm reception to the game's closed alpha. What are your thoughts on this?
So the funny thing is, and I'm just joking around, Bungie's not dead. They just on super light support. But it really comes down to Marathon already had a huge heel decline due to the genre that they chose to try to make an impact in. Yes, it's an untapped resource. It's something that if they do it right, they could have dominated in that fashion. Bringing extraction shooters to consoles on more of a whole level would have been great if they could have pulled it off. And I just don't think they'll have the chance to do it with this game now. But the plagiarism thing is what kills this, that just killed this game. My biggest problem, well, I ain't gonna say my problem. My biggest worry was, do they have the time to fix it? And it really comes back to, is PlayStation going to give them the time to do it? We saw with PlayStation, we saw the type of energy PlayStation was on with, with canceling Concord. And then we saw what kind of time they were on when they let Naughty Dog basically just pull the plug on their own game because they didn't want to become a live service studio. So that is money that Sony ate, on top of just refunding everybody that bought Concord. So my biggest thing was, okay, obviously Bungie ain't got the money to go back and redo this whole game, because the art style is the game. Like, that's the number one thing that is like shown. Is like, you see it everywhere and everything. I mean, that's the identity of the game.
Well, to be clear, the artists they plagiarized didn't create the art style. The art style's been around for decades, but it will probably be better for the game in the long run if it was a different art style, because you stole assets from an artist that uses this art style.
Right.
And so you really gotta like take into account that everything you do going forward is going to be looked at with the side eye. Like when you introduce new DLC, people going to be looking at you crazy. This isn't the first time that they did plagiarism. So it's like, first time, okay, rogue bad actor, employee that did it, you said you fired them, you got rid of them, whatever, okay, no harm, no foul. But then not only did this happen before, but you said you were going to make it right with the creator or the artist, whoever it was that you stole from, and then we could confirm it, well, not quite confirmation, but that person later comes out later on in light of everything that's happening now and says you never compensated them, you never heard from them, you basically gave people public lip service and then did nothing. And you add that with this, it makes it look like you just out here stealing from people and hoping you get away with it. And if you get caught, you do a lot of I'm sorry's and you try to blame it on an employee that's not even working for you no more. Mm-hmm. And then you go on about your business. Because I would really love to see if Anti-Real, I think is the name of the if they really compensate Anti-Real, which this has gotten so big, I feel like they almost have to. But like,
they gotta
it's not just
her.
that.
I mean, them.
It's the other creators that you stole from as well. Not for this game, but just in general, because they did the same thing with Destiny, and so they gotta get every reference to her work out of the game, and it's a lot. So that has to be you gotta go over it with a fine-tooth comb. You then gotta make sure that everything else that you put in the game is properly, like you had done your research, you were going through the history of those assets in the game, and for a fact they were created by your people and not by someone else. All that should take time. And that's on top of everything that you were already trying to get out. There were already people who have played it in early access before the closed alpha who felt like there wasn't enough content here, that you needed more maps, you needed more modes. It's not quite ready. There's some fine tuning you need to do to the systems, how they work together, that you're talking about, some of the best content that you got ready to go is content that's not even going to be there at launch. It's going to be there a few weeks later or like a month later. Delay your game, bro. Like, what do you like? It's just like, why are you still trying to release at the time you're trying to release? Like this is almost like the biggest no-brainer ever that you should delay. But I don't know. Sony hasn't been the best at live service. Their one real shining success recently has been Helldivers 2, and it's chugging along, is doing great. But considering everything around that, someone would not be off base to say that Helldivers 2 succeeded in spite of them than because of them, especially when you look at like the vast majority of the people who play Helldivers 2, not vast majority, but the majority are on PC, and how they almost lost that PC audience with, trying to force the PSN login. Although I had no issue with it because I don't think it's that big a deal, right. But you know how the PC community is. They could be finicky for this kind of stuff. And so doing that on the backhand, and then it almost ruined the game. And so you look at them canceling factions, unlaunching Concord 2 weeks after launch, Fair Games studio director gone. I would say probably fired considering the way that looked. Fair Games is in limbo. I don't know what Sony's going to do about this. They should delay it, but what they should do, I think, and what they will do might be two different things here.
Well, can they afford to delay it? I think they should delay it.
I don't think they have a choice. Well, I don't think they have a choice.
Well, so this is the thing I'm going to ask you. They do have a choice, because the choice is, do they delay it to fix it, or do they put it on ice and start? Okay, let me ask you this. How much
delaying it gives them more time to have more characters, more content, more modes, and more maps. And it allows them to look over the game and make sure they ain't stealing nothing else from someone else, from someone who didn't get properly credited or compensated. And sure, that might end up being the game gets delayed to like spring of 2026. But what is?
Oh, I feel like longer to. Way
that's
longer.
fine. But
if they're redoing this, especially if they got to redo the art style, or because it's the thing, even if they pay her and keep the art style, this game will always be known. They can't keep this art style.
You need it. They gotta pay her anyway because they've already marketed the game with her content in there. So she's already been harmed. Yeah. Her IP has already been harmed. So you already got.
But you can't keep
if I was her, I wouldn't want to work with people who stole from me. That's just me. Like I wouldn't want to work with you. Just pay me and leave my stuff alone. This is the kind of energy I'd be on. And frankly, they will probably should be just like distance yourself from her and everything that she's done as far as possible as you can. You can't change the art style at this point. That will take years to completely change all that stuff up and to have a completely separate art style. That would take way too long. So what? Unless you're gonna cancel the game,
then that's what they gonna do.
I don't. Nah.
Listen. So let me ask. What
Forte canceling factions too?
No.
This would be worse than canceling factions because factions too. All they showed us was some concept art. This is they had people play this.
What can they do though? You can't take this. You can't release this game with that with their with all of that stuff in it.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
Have you seen her art? It's decals. There's some things that are a little bit more than decals, but it's mostly like it's decals and kind of like a not graffiti, but it's like a look on top of the art style that's already there. Yeah, they can strip that out. It kind of changes the personality of the game, but then you actually get artists that actually, show they actually have some of their own creativity and replace it with stuff that actually is unique and different.
But this is the thing though. Once you associate see, you're just talking about the emblems and everything, but that's part of the art style at this point. Like, sure, the emblems and everything in the way that is portrayed throughout the game and the graffiti, but that has become part of the game. Like it's like you don't separate, when you see the game, you don't separate that from what you see in the game. Like even in the trailers and the visual messaging they do in the game, that is all a part of it.
They can't cancel the game at this point. Look, Glenstone in the chat said, can they afford to release and do more rep damage?
Exactly.
I think canceling it does more reputation damage than releasing it.
No, I think they cancel this and do what they should have did the first time. And I'm not saying this lightly because I thought it would never happen. They should have just went ahead, and I understand they didn't want to make a Destiny 3, but they should just go ahead and cancel it because how much money it's going to cost them to redo all the stuff that they need to do and push this game back a year to 2 years. I'd rather spend money. I'd rather lose money on this and start building on something that I know at least will bring people into the game. And the Destiny 3 will fix a lot of issues for them.
Well, look, I think they're in a lose-lose situation. They cancel the game.
They are.
It's egg on their face. And I think it does a massive, Bungie's reputation is already in the toilet. It just goes into the sewer at that point. You don't cancel it. Even if this controversy didn't happen and they didn't plagiarize another artist's work, I think this game was on its way to fail. No, not cancel.
No, they weren't going to cancel. It was going to fail. No matter what,
it was going to fail because there was 2 extraction shooters that were being played at the same time. Arc Raiders and Marathon. If there is any audience for extraction shooters that hasn't already been gobbled up by Escape from Tarkov and the other extraction shooters that are already on the market, Arc Raiders is getting the rest. Yeah. And it's obvious based on how people received Arc Raiders versus how they received Marathon. And it looks like, based off of what some people saw from Epic Game Store, I guess on the back end of Epic Game Store, they saw that it looks like Arc Raiders might be, I'm not saying this is 100% certain, but it looks like Arc Raiders might be free to play. Bruh, Marathon's not free to play. You're cooked. Extra crispy. Cooked.
Extra crispy.
It is a wrap. This is not going to be successful.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
Anyway, so
you were saying just for that, weren't you?
Yeah, well, so look, it's good luck to them. There's no official confirmation of a delay, but don't be surprised if it does actually happen anytime soon. Anything else you want to say on this before we move on to the next topic?
I'm good. Let's go.
Alrighty. What is there we go. So, PlayStation has a little different than what people were expecting. People were expecting PlayStation to raise their prices the same way that Xbox has risen their prices, and that people anticipate the Switch 2 might raise their prices in the near future.
It's coming.
PlayStation instead did the opposite. They have their days of play going right now. They do this on an annual basis, and their days of play, they got discounts on hardware, software, accessories, and specifically for their PS5 and PS5 Pro, they are like $50 off. And so now the PS5 Pro, hardware wise, a more powerful device than the Xbox Series X, and specifically that what is that? What do they call it? The Midnight Starlight
Blue, yeah.
Yeah. Brightest star I've seen tonight, whatever it's called, the Xbox, right? That's
Galaxy system.
There we go. That's $729. The PS5 Pro is $650. And people are buying. I mean, like, we saw some people that we know. Shout out to Lord Cognito. He just bought one. So now you have to kind of wonder, I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna Forte.
Say it. What's on your mind? People want to know.
Oh, so these tariffs are like, I'll briefly talk about tariffs real quick because it is relevant to why prices are going up. That said, in the course of one day, I heard that tariffs were being stopped because of a court, and then that court was blocked, but then now there's another court that's stopping it. I don't know if these tariffs still happening or not. Okay, since we've been live, 3 more things could have changed, so I don't know.
Right.
But what I wonder, right? PlayStation about to clean up. And here's why. When it comes to hardware, they're about to clean up. You're the only one. Okay, not the only one. Switch 2 is going to do great, by the way. But at the same time, Switch 2 isn't as powerful as a PS5. So you have an addressable market that wants something that plays all the games. The Switch 2 is getting more of the games, but not all of them. And it's going to be very difficult to have this summer. It's going to be difficult to find the Switch 2 after launch, right? Forte?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were just in general talking.
No, I was just, you work at GameStop. You know.
No, yeah, it's going to go, yeah. Switch 2s are going to be one. Listen, they about to sell their whole stock in the next week, and then you won't see Switch 2 again probably until August at the earliest.
Yeah. So Xbox right now, Microsoft, the way they supply Xboxes, they do just-in-time inventory. And what that means is they're only making and then sending out what is actually being needed. When companies like Forte's company, like GameStop, say we would like 10,000 units, they get 10,000 units ready and send out those 10,000 units. They aren't sitting on a supply, whereas PlayStation has a supply. They're doing what they've always done and what Xbox used to do, which is make it enough to be able to deliver inventory when needed. As soon as someone asks for it, we got it. We're gonna send it to you. ASAP. There's no inventory of Xboxes, not because they sell, but because they don't sell. There will be no inventory of Switch 2s because people can't get their hands on them because Nintendo won't be able to make as many as they can fast enough.
Right.
Now I don't know how long the sale is going for.
June 11th.
But June 11th, they're gonna have a good time until then, and they're gonna have a good time after then too, because again, there's no inventory for the competition. And later this year, we got like a few more months before Madden 26 comes out in August. That's going to be current gen only. Hope Xbox decides to make some Xboxes that actually fulfill the interest. If not, you're going to have some people on Xbox Ones buying PS5s to play Madden because they got to get their Madden.
Got to.
Yo, it's good on Sony. I hope they enjoy the influx of new users because I think they're gonna enjoy a lot of it. What do you think? One, what do you think about this? And then two, I'll pose this question to you: if the tariffs get canceled, is Microsoft going to drop the price of the Xbox back down?
Ew. No.
They won't.
I think their plan initially. I think what will happen is they'll discontinue those systems, and then the next system they come out with will just be and they'll just put a system on sale. Like, I think when they do it, the S will be retired. And they'll just come out with a different, especially if they have a renewed focus in hardware when it comes to like home consoles. I think you'll just see a siphoning off of the original Xbox. I can't even tell you the last time I seen the Galaxy. Like, we talk about these prices of these consoles, and I've only seen the white 2 terabyte Xbox One in store. I haven't seen.
How many have you seen?
2, literally 2. That's it. I seen 2 of the white
units.
Two. That's it.
Were they new?
Yeah,
Used?
No, they were new.
Okay.
I have more used systems than new. But I just don't think that it really affects them because I think they have different plans. Now, that could 100% change if they have a renewed focus around hardware based on the topic that we have that we're going to discuss soon. But I just think ultimately they could do it, but it really comes back to how much do they value that ecosystem? Because I felt like part of the reason they made the quick switch in raising the prices because they want to kind of they want to give the illusion of choice, because who's going to really choose unless you really want to play on Xbox? Who wants to spend $700 for an Xbox or $729 for an Xbox that has, a disk drive on it because you want to play physical games, but The only reason is that much is because
meanwhile the games that it has can be got on cheaper hardware.
On cheaper hardware. I mean, it's the same thing with PlayStation 5 and PlayStation, but at least the thing is the PlayStation 5 Pro, as much as I still don't think that was worth the price, you know, for what you were getting, that price was set years ago before tariffs even became a thing. So I just think PlayStation overpriced their PlayStation 5 Pro. If you still want to, you know, buy that system, you can buy it. I didn't buy it because I just didn't see the value in it. But it's completely opposite for Xbox because, yeah, okay, you're getting an extra terabyte of space, but it's the same system that we bought for $599 or for $499. So there's a $229 premium on that system now due to all of this. So I always felt like part of the reason they did it is because they want to give, like I said, the illusion of choice. But if you really want to be in our ecosystem and you really want to play on an Xbox and you want to have a drive, this is the option for you. If you don't, we have other options for you too. And they really don't care if you pick the option that is on another platform or PC or anything like that, because you're still in their ecosystem and they don't have to count you as a person that they have to make a console for. And the more and more people that fall in that camp over the course of years, they'll find a way to not be in the console market when it comes to making consoles themselves. They'll just be a publisher at that point. Now, if that changed, then I do think they'll drop the price at some point. They have to, because I think where they're operating now is basically under the assumption that they really don't care if you buy their hardware. By them dropping,
yeah, that's why I don't think they're going to drop the price. Yeah, I think they're not. I think they're not going to drop the price because the whole situation with tariffs and whatnot is so volatile. It's all over the place. It's increasing for some countries over 100%, then dropping to 10%, to 30%, to whatever the heck it is. You got courts canceling it being appealed. You can't keep changing your price at like the wind. Like it's just changing, you know, every other. They're going to stick with the price, and frankly, they don't care,
right?
Because they don't make it in large quantity anyway. So where are you going to find it? They don't care if you buy it or not, and they putting their games on what they we used to call their competition, and so that's the price now, man. So I don't think it's going to go down, and I think this holiday is going to be very interesting. With I think Nintendo is going to do fantastic this holiday with the Switch 2. Mario Kart World comes out this holiday, right? Or is that no? It comes out in June.
Mario Kart World comes out the same day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's coming out? Is it Metroid Prime?
They haven't put a date.
There's
on
something.
It yet.
Okay, I don't know why I thought I heard Metroid Prime 4 was coming out later this year.
It is coming out. It is coming out this year. They just didn't put a date on it yet.
Okay, so I'm anticipating more than likely like holiday, right?
Yeah.
So that with getting more inventory and a new game to play, that's their game. Yo, they're going to kill it, and I think. Secondary to Nintendo killing it is going to be PlayStation just by default, because the only thing we know first party they're dropping is Ghost of Yotai. Their live service offering has been abysmal for the most part, but it doesn't matter because they're getting more games from Microsoft and the Microsoft gaming. Then they're delivering to their own player base, and they can use that to supplement software in addition to, again, all of these players, these console players that have been on last generation, who have felt there was no need for them to upgrade to current generation because the kind of games they like to play, they don't really care about having the latest greatest. They just want something that runs the game they want to play, and those games were still being supported on their old piece of crap Xbox One and their old piece of crap PS4. And now that they're not, they need something new to play, and there's only going to be one thing on the market that's going to be able to play it. A PS5.
A PS5.
So they just basically, they're being just, handpicked to be the default console to sell in the holiday period. So I think it's going to be pretty good for them. I think it's going to do well, despite, I think Ghost of Yotai is going to be really good follow-up sequel to Tsushima. But sales wise, I don't think it's gonna crack top 10 for most games sold of the year. Maybe top 10 on PlayStation by itself, but overall, I don't think Yotai is that kind of game. And people aren't going to be buying PlayStations to play Ghost of Yotai. They're just not. But they'll buy PlayStations to play the next 2K game. That's only on current gen. It is what it is. And I saw some of the other discounts that seem pretty cool with accessories and whatnot. So, anything else you want to say on this Forte before we move on?
No, man, move on.
So this was a little bit late breaking news, late breaking to the general public, but something that me and Forte were aware of a little bit earlier in the day. Microsoft they have canceled their PC handheld, their Xbox handheld.
Oh no, don't say it.
And so, say it ain't so. Not that I'm super surprised about that, but yeah, that's been canceled. And I know there are some language out there that it's been put on hold for those who just, it's canceled. Like the whole, this is no shade towards Jez Corden, who broke the news to the general public that, from Windows Central, that it was put on hold. But everything that I'd heard prior to that says canceled, and there no language really on hold. On hold it's never going to go off hold. Okay, it's going to be on hold forever. It's going to be 2040 and still going to be on hold. It's not coming back. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to make sure I say this correctly so that I don't get in any trouble. But they're still working with PC handhelds to a degree. They've talked about, and we've heard a lot of talk about an Xbox OS, and they have some stiff competition from Valve with the Steam OS, which is looking fantastic right now. Really kind of makes me want to buy another Steam Deck, but let me not say that. So they got an uphill battle when it comes to that, but they can work with PC handheld partners that are already making those, and just have, as they've already alluded to them doing with Asus, with an Asus branded Xbox handheld, they can just continue to do that going forward instead of making their own dedicated handheld that does exactly what different than any other PC handheld. And look, you really just think about this for a second. An Xbox OS would be a stripped down version of Windows 11 or Windows 12, probably Windows 12. Okay. And so a more streamlined version of that isn't doing a lot of the other stuff that people feel is deemed unnecessary for a gaming device, which I get. But Steam OS is already doing that. So there's nothing unique there. And you're behind on delivering that out there right now. You got PC handheld manufacturers that can just go with Steam OS right now, not whenever in the future you finally do that. And then you have a handheld that it's not going to have any unique content that isn't available on other handhelds, because all the other handhelds can use the Xbox store, Windows store, PC store, the way yours can. You're getting integration of Steam into it and GOG and stuff like that, and like that's great, right? You're getting integration of these things. That's awesome, but those things are readily available on other platforms as well. So there's nothing really unique here. So yeah, I mean, why make that hardware and waste millions on research and development and spend all this money creating this device only to not sell as many copies? We think about this for a moment. The highest sold PC handheld is the Steam Deck, Valve Steam Deck, their main competition. That thing sold like 5 million units since it released. You don't know for certain if you have a true market here for this kind of device. That's one. You also don't know that if you say didn't make a traditional console and you only made this PC handheld device, if you can transition your Xbox console community to this kind of device. You don't know that either. And you also are running into issues with, say, potentially allowing, because this thing is going to have like a PC like foundation, the play anywhere aspect of things, where if someone owns, say, the Division 2 on Xbox and they were able to still play on the Xbox Series X because they bought it on the Xbox One, that's still on the Xbox platform. That's not on the PC platform. So am I still be able to play that on this new Xbox PC handheld? Like it seems that there's so many hurdles they have to get through in order to make this work, and only for it to potentially not sell that great. Why bother? So I understand canceling it. What I don't understand is that when you don't believe, because the traditional console, they're still working on that. So what I don't believe is that you're just going to make a traditional console, which clearly by your actions right now, you don't believe in. But you cancel the PC handheld that probably maybe had the most potential to actually get you some traction on the hardware front. I don't know. I guess to me, this seems to lean more and more towards Satya just waking up one day in 2026 and saying that new Xbox console, that 10th generation Xbox console, cut that. We ain't doing that either. Why bother? We making money putting our games everywhere. Doesn't mean we're going to cancel support on the Xbox Series X and S. If you own that, we still support it. And you'll still get all those games on Game Pass day one to it. But we ain't making no new hardware. We ain't going to bother. I just feel like that's the future. Forte, what do you think about that? Did I lose Forte? I think Forte fell asleep.
I muted. No, I was talking. I muted myself. Cause I was.
Go ahead, man.
I was yawning. Canceling a handheld. Well, we only know cancel. Putting on ice, or what's another analogy you can use? Putting on a back burner, sitting on the shelf. What else could they have said they did, or anything else that people said they could have did? I think it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people were looking forward to Showcase this year and thinking they were going to get news around that. Now, I don't think you were going to get anything around that, but just listening to, Microsoft talk about, when I say Microsoft, I'm talking about when Sarah Bond said, we're, one of the biggest technological, I can't speak. Say it for me, SloMo.
Technological.
Yes, technological. For some reason, that word is just not coming out of my mouth right now. But one of the most technological leaps, whatever, that we seen And a lot of people was equating that to just, what could that be? You already had the most powerful console before. We already saw where that got you. We could be talking about the cloud infrastructure and everything like that, how games are going to be played more broader that way. But then a lot of people kind of banked it on what this handheld is going to be. And with that, with the thoughts that it could be put on the shelf is one thing. I don't know if I don't think they're just straight up going to cancel it. I do think that they kind of want to make sure that with their partnerships and everything, they're going to use that as more of a vehicle to like more refine their own technology when it comes to like their overall compliancy, when it comes to getting their games like on the Xbox app or their gaming app that they're going to be doing across all of these different platforms and stuff. I think they want to use that as the test bed to kind of make sure that they do it right the first time, because being in handhelds or just being in a portable market is already a tough sell due to the fact that Nintendo is already very, very prominent there. Then phones and tablets have gotten to the point where they are so powerful that you really don't need any of this stuff. It's always just been about the input device that you use to be able to play the games on those type of in those type of ecosystems. So what Xbox wants to do is trying to bridge the gap and make it so you don't, when you're playing a game in that ecosystem, it doesn't feel like you're in that ecosystem. It feels like you're just natively playing a game, like if you're sitting on your couch, and the only difference is you're not playing on a bigger screen, you're playing on a smaller screen. So I think that they want to kind of, get that infrastructure in place. And they're just going to lean on third party or second party development like the ROG Ally and all of these other handhelds that's going to be coming out, that's going to have a base version of the Windows experience with Xbox on it, or not even Windows, just the Xbox experience baked into it. And then at some point they'll finally bring out their handheld. So I think that's mostly the direction, but who really knows, because Microsoft and Xbox have said a multitude of different things, and
that's the other thing.
Some people say they lie. So we had this big conversation about Phil Spencer lying last episode, and now did he ever come up?
They just he needs to shut up. He just needs to stop talking. A lot of the stuff he said last year about the PC handheld, their Xbox handheld, was completely unsolicited. No one said it. You are the CEO of the entire division, and you out here leaking stuff unsolicited that you don't even know for certain that you're actually going to do for no reason. Stop doing so many interviews. Stop talking, because it makes no sense that you are the one that leaking this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that is kind of, and like you said, unsolicited. So most people wouldn't even have this on their radar if it wasn't something that had came up.
He mentioned it twice in the past year.
In the past year.
And now they're not even going to do it.
So now they're on
that reminds me of, we're going to do VR until they weren't going to do VR.
I knew you was going to say VR. VR is like the worst. Even when this was bad, VR is even worse, because they said it in interviews, like on their own platform, that they were doing it and that they wanted to make sure they did it and they did it right. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared and people had to force it. I was like, what happened to the handheld? And guess what? That thing doesn't exist anymore. So, not handheld, the VR, it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. People just want Microsoft. This thing, I don't think they even know what they're doing. Honestly, I think the only thing that they
which is why I say, who's to say they really do drive hardware? Look, I know for a fact they are working on hardware, but who's to say they actually release it? Because as you said, they will be doing something and then not do it.
But that's the thing about a company the size of Microsoft, where a decimal point like most companies, you move a decimal point three spots to the left, that's catastrophic to a company. Microsoft, you got to move that thing like 9 or 10 steps to the left for them to like really notice it. So they try a lot of stuff in R&D and a lot of stuff that never sees the light of day. And guess what? Over the course of a quarter, all that money that they invested into said thing, they already, I mean, granted, you never make the money back because you spent it, but unless you actually bring it to market and that thing bears fruit and it brings the money back that way. But if you spent $100 million or $200 million in R&D, you're making that back 3 times in a quarter as big as the company is. You just have to have other people in the company that make up the slack in other departments and stuff. And trust me, I bet you they're probably frustrated about it and, you know, talking to Saudi about it, because this was the whole conversation around why do we even need Xbox? That's why they wanted to, you know, be done with Xbox when it came to the rest of the leadership staff, because what does it bring into the portfolio outside of just sucking money from us, the things that are working? And I think that they finally found a middle ground with Xbox, where Xbox has found its place inside of Microsoft because they wouldn't spend the money that they did spend. But I still think there's a lot of things that need to be kind of ironed out before we finally see what the next version of Xbox is truly going to be. Because right now, I think they're still just trying to figure it out. Like, you went from being a hardware developer that makes games to pretty much just being a developer that makes games that occasionally dabbles in the hardware market.
They about to be they're already kind of are one of the biggest third-party publishers out there. They're about to be the biggest.
They're about to be the biggest
third-party publisher out there. And I know there are some people that try to say, oh, well, you know, SloMo act like he's always right, but I am, okay? I am always right. And I'm telling you right now, they ain't making no more hardware. It ain't coming. They intend on it coming out for now. But later on, it's going to be a different story. You know what you're going to get? You're going to get tons of support for the hardware that's already released, as far as software updates, the experience, making sure that the xCloud is better, which I fully expect them to try to close the gap. Not try, I think they will close the gap. I'm not saying it's going to be better, but I think they're going to get xCloud to be as close to GeForce Now as possible. And they're going to make sure that that experience is great on consoles, in addition to your console being supported, that you already paid for. But new hardware, they're going to try to phrase things as Xbox, because they already did this now with their ads. You don't need a console. Xbox isn't a console. Xbox is an experience. It's your TV. It's your toaster. It's whatever, right? It's your laptop. It's your Surface tablet. It's whatever, it's an iPhone, because we have an app for that now. It's all those things is an Xbox. That they're going to lean into that, and they're going to lean into this Xbox OS stuff. And they're going to say, going forward, maybe we'll get it working with hypervisor, but like, we're going to get an experience that's working on whatever device you want, where you can interface with your library. It's still there. You can play your games, but they ain't making hardware, man.
No, I agree.
They not. Like, every argument I hear about why they should continue to keep making hardware talks about what they already have. So let's talk about those things. They have a large number of the Game Pass subscribers that they have are currently on console. But Game Pass on PC is growing. And it's only growing on PC. They have a lot of people that are on consoles and they get 30% of the cut of everything that's third party and 100% of everything that's first party or second party. Roughly 50% of the people that are playing within the Xbox ecosystem are playing on either like in the I'll say Xbox ecosystem, it's all of it, right? They're playing on like other devices like PC, or they're playing on like an Xbox One. We just talked about how they're not supplying newer hardware to get those people to move over. And those people in the next year are going to be moving over in droves. They're going to be NBA 2K. You got your 2K heads that need to play 2K. They're going to need a new hardware. You got your Madden heads that need a new Madden. They're going to need new hardware. You got GTA 6 coming out in the next year. Current gen. You're going to need new hardware. You have all these games. They're being Call of Duty is going to be current gen, their own game. You want to know what they made a bundle for? They made a Black Ops 6 bundle for PlayStation 5 that's $400. They're practically giving Call of Duty for free on PlayStation. Is there a bundle for Xbox? No. Why is that?
Nope.
People just gotta come to terms with the truth. You know why they don't make a bundle for Xbox. Because they know it and you know it. It would not sell. Not even with Call of Duty on the box would it sell. They have no faith in it. So why would they have faith in a new traditional console? They're not doing a Xbox dedicated handheld that they made. So traditional console that every generation since 360 has sold less. Why would they make this? Oh, well, we got these people here. They need new hardware. Yeah, they're going to get new hardware. They're going to get PlayStations or PCs. You're not providing Xboxes. They're not going to buy them. And so when you start to see that base dwindling and all you have left on console is just the Xbox Series X and S bros, you could just support that. Make your Xbox OS and be the biggest third-party publisher that's out there. When you present the argument like that, I don't see how in the boardroom someone's going to say, no, we should make hardware. Let's make some more hardware. To do what? Not sell? To lose money? This is the bed they made when they put their games on the other platform. It's a done deal.
That's wild.
Yeah, man. I'm just saying.
You feeling okay, SloMo?
No, I'm good.
And Xbox might cancel their handheld for good. Do you? So, nah. You know what? I asked you that question.
Look. I never believed it was really going. Look, like I always felt like it's what they're doing right now. It's what they're working on. I never believed that all the things they were working on were going to see fruition. And here's the kicker: even if like it's almost confirmed, even if they drop an actual, which I don't believe is going what happened, but even if they make a traditional console one more time for 10th generation, it's the last one. Mm-hmm. It's a wrap at. They're not making no more. This is the last thing that hardware they'll make. So when you can't think of a single way this thing would be like, why make something that's guaranteed to have sell less than your current something, which you don't want to make? Who makes a product to not sell?
Microsoft.
Who makes a product that you don't believe can sell? Why make it? Like, why? just don't make it, man. So you go ahead. I think I'm done. I ain't got nothing else I want to say on it. Forte?
I'm here.
Yeah, I said you can go ahead. I'm good.
No, you said it all, bro. I don't know what Microsoft wants to do. What's their direction or anything like that? At this point, I just know that they're going to make games, and I know we're going to be able to enjoy them on other platforms. When it comes to like whatever endeavors they have, when it comes to their own hardware, I pretty much am taking it as a case by case basis because, you know, I still don't believe that they have a appetite for competing in that market. And if they think that going into a handheld market is going to be slightly easier for them, they're kind of mistaken, because I think that is more saturated than even the console market. At least in the console market, they were considered, part of the big three, and it was a hard place to get into. See Google, see with Stadia, and see Amazon with Luna. They try. I'm not gonna say Google failed. Luna is still a thing. But they tried, and it's just not an easy thing to get into. But they're going into even more of a treacherous place when it comes to like the mobile side of everything, and trying to bring more people over there. People kind of forget that Nintendo does well because Nintendo has always been in that market. They just finally, they just did something that a lot of people thought they probably should have did a long time ago by just combining their strengths, by taking their handheld market, which was the stronger side of their market, outside of I won't even say outside of the Wii, because even during the generation the Wii came out, the DS and DSi still sold 160 million, and those systems cost just almost as much. Yeah, well, when they for like $200, so they always had a ecosystem of mobile component to their thing. So people thinking that anybody can be what Nintendo is kind of not understanding that the Switch, it wasn't by accident. They just took something they were already good at, and they just doubled down on it when it came to their home console to make it portable. Xbox, if they can do it, I'll celebrate it. If they can't, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just expect them to make games at this point. I thought about multiple times just trading in my Xbox Series X because there's really no reason to play it. I mean, I can play everything on my PC now. And guess why? Guess what? Xbox told me I could do that. So I don't feel bad about it. So
they don't feel bad about it either. They're actually happy that you're doing it.
Yeah, they don't feel bad about it
because they don't want hardware. They don't want to support hardware. They are a software company.
Yep, I agree.
And they would like to get back to just being a software company. So if it would be detrimental to their brand for them to just cut ties on everything the way they did the original Xbox One. You remember, like the original Xbox One, not Xbox One, the original Xbox. So like 25 million units, and then they just stopped all like games to it, stopped everything, and then moved over to Xbox 360. And that didn't like it didn't like completely rub people the wrong way, but in today in 2025 you can't just go cut everything and no longer support hardware that you sold people. They'll continue to support what they got out there, but that doesn't mean that they want to. It also doesn't mean that they're going to make you new stuff. It's just so like in the chat right now, we got like someone says 30+ million is enough to continue to make hardware.
No,
there's no guarantee. No, because there's no guarantee that 30 million is going to buy your new hardware. Because as we've seen, they had 80+ million that bought Xbox 360s. Did 80+ million people buy an Xbox One? No. Then they had like 55 million people bought Xbox Ones. Did 55 have right now the Xbox Series consoles are on pace behind the Xbox One.
Well,
and they considered that generation a failure. So just because you got 30 million right now does not mean that 30 million people are going to buy your new hardware, especially when you've devalued this your current hardware, where the games that were unique to it that people would have bought your hardware for that they couldn't get anywhere else unless it's on PC, those games are now going to the PlayStation. So why buy an Xbox? Don't say it's because the ecosystem. It's not. It's not.
But I will say this though. As much as I agree with you, like you said, it doesn't guarantee anything. I do think with Xbox, the conversation really comes around to when is a good time to get out of it, because we see that they are willing to, cut things whenever the I won't say, well, the player base isn't there. So 30 million, I do think, because I don't think it's really about the console. I think it's really about the active users they have on the platform. So as long as those people, because they do get a lot of revenue from Xbox people still when it comes to like services and everything. So that 30 million isn't really about the console itself. It's about the 30 million that's still like on Xbox Core, Xbox Live, or Xbox Live and Xbox Core is the same, or just the people that plays on Game Pass and just have Game Pass instead of Game Pass Ultimate, where they don't have an avenue to really play on PC. Now they may try doing things in the future that's going to entice people to upgrade their membership to try to get them out of the lower tiers at some point, and I think that's the next step. Like, how do you entice people to say, hey, what's the benefit of being outside of Game Pass, Core or just Game Pass console, and move over to something like Ultimate if you're not really a person that plays on other platforms that really facilitate that, because that's the biggest difference that Ultimate gives you. So I think there's enough people still available or that play on a Xbox console in their ecosystem to still facilitate them to make a console. Now the thing really comes down to, when is that going to change? Like, the more and more Microsoft moves in a direction of not caring about the hardware, every year more and more people are going to not buy that hardware. So are they going to, artificially lower their player base numbers due to the decisions that they made, and more people, let's say next year, when Grand Theft Auto, because I think the biggest change is going to come next year when Grand Theft Auto comes out. How many people are going to want to buy an Xbox Series S or X to play that has an Xbox Series? All the people that have Xboxes now, how many people are willing to switch up to an Xbox Series S or X to play Grand Theft Auto, since it's going to most likely be next gen, or it will be next gen, and not buy just a PlayStation? How many people are they going to lose in that transition? Because I think that's going to be a tipping point so if they got 30 million people or 35, and we'll just give them 40 million that are still playing, let's say 15 million of those people are still on original Xbox Ones or Xbox 3s or Xbox One X's, even on the high end. How many of that 15 million is going to actually switch over and pick an Xbox over a PlayStation? That's the thing that we kind of gotta think about when it comes to that.
Part of the reason why they canceled this Xbox handheld is that the amount of work in research and development and getting a custom APU made by AMD and doing all this other work, it just wasn't worth it for what they anticipate the sales would be. Now let's take that and not think about simply what they already built on the current hardware. This is about projecting what the new hardware would do. If they didn't think a PC handheld was worth it, why do they think what is the value proposition for the gamer to buy your new handheld? What does it do or provide that is enticing that they have to have that?
That's why it's a wait or see approach, I think, at this point, because Gregor just said it. You agree with it in the chat. It's all about the people that are spending money and then the people are spending money on services. That's why I feel like as long as the services are still accounted for on the platform, they'll still placate and make consoles for those people. But the moment that number gets too low, that's where you'll see them kind of move away. And I do think, like, as much as they already did the R&D on the handheld, they still have to implement it, push it out, well, not push it out, but manufacture it and everything, which still costs its own amount of money to do. And maybe they want to take a wait and see approach to see how consoles how it shakes down in like just over a year, in their minds.
I'm glad you brought up what Gregor said in the chat, that it's about how much of them spend money and subscribe, right?
And
So we know that the majority of Game Pass subscribers are on Xboxes.
Yep.
But the only growth they have is on PC.
It's on PC.
For over a year. Check their earnings reports. Check what they say. For over a year, they have been talking about how in any time it's been mentioned about Game Pass on console, they have only said it has been flat. The only time they talk about growth, they talk about it on PC. So you're not growing there.
Right.
And by the time you would drop a traditional handheld, where's PC Game Pass going to be in comparison to Game Pass on consoles? Now, let's put a pin in that. That's the subscribe part of the argument. The actively spending money part of the argument. What do people actively spend their money on?
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly live service games.
Yeah.
It's mostly multiplayer, live service, free-to-play kind of games. I just, while we were talking, pulled up from on Blue Sky, Matt Piscatella, who works for Circona. And I know this is just the United States, but for the most part, these one, for Xbox, the United States is their market. It's the only market they're relevant in. That in some parts of South America. So for them, this is pretty much all they look at.
Yeah.
Here are this would be the weekly active users list, but the weekly active users list is almost identical to the monthly active users list, so it doesn't matter. But for the top 15 games over the past week, Call of Duty HQ. Forte, do you need an Xbox to play Call of Duty?
No.
Fortnite. Forte, do you need a Xbox to play Fortnite?
Nope.
Grand Theft Auto 5. It'll be Grand Theft Auto 6 when this new thing comes out. Do you need an Xbox to play that?
All you need is a PlayStation to play it, and either one.
Right. Roblox. Do you need an Xbox to play Roblox?
Nope. You can play it on your Switch too, starting on Wednesday next week. Got one.
Doom: The Dark Ages launched at number 5. Do you need an Xbox to play that?
Nope. You can play it right now on Xbox Game Pass on your PC for the monthly subscription of your Game Pass subscription.
Yep. Minecraft. Do I need an Xbox? Nope. Let's just speed this up. NBA 2K. Do I need
for a long time in other places?
Right. Marvel Rivals everywhere. Forza Horizon 5 now everywhere. Madden everywhere. Rainbow Six Siege everywhere. Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered everywhere. Apex Legends everywhere. Rocket League everywhere. EA Sports College Football. Now on PC, but also on the PlayStation.
It better be on PC next year.
Where people are spending their money is on games they can get everywhere. So again, why are they going to buy an Xbox? When they can go get your games that you make and those other games and Sony's games
Aren't you playing this
all
game
on their platform.
But aren't you playing this game on an Xbox right now, SloMo? On the Jumbotron?
No, I played that on PC. That's That's the demo for Metal Eden.
Yeah,
and I think that demo is only on PC.
It's only on PC. I'm looking at this gameplay like this looks sweet.
Yeah, when this actually comes out, it comes out soon. Metal Eden comes out real soon. I'm thinking in the next month or two. Actually, you know what? I think it got delayed, but it's supposed to come out this summer. I'll double check. It's coming out soon. I'm getting it on PC, of course, but I don't even know if it's coming to. I don't even know if it's coming to consoles, honestly. But I mean, that's the point here. Is that like
that Melee sucks.
You need to. Yeah, the Melee ain't great, but it's got cool gunplay and movement. I enjoy it.
Good.
The bigger issue here is just that you have to create a value proposition that people will say, I need to get this for that. Like people, like I'm not getting a Switch 2 yet because the only game that Nintendo has that I want to play is Fire Emblem. That's a value proposition. When they finally come out with a Fire Emblem, I'm going to buy a Switch. Otherwise, I would not buy one. There are people who are going to buy a Switch 2, and they are doing it solely for Mario Kart 4. Sorry, Mario Kart World. I said 4.
That's the main reason I'm buying it. Mario Kart World.
These are value propositions. And what value proposition do they present right now? Now, clearly, like Sarah Bond said, the next Xbox will have the biggest technological leap ever in consoles. Do we know she was talking about the traditional console? Do we know she was talking about the PC handheld? Who knows?
Cloud.
Hey,
at this point, we don't know.
Yeah, like we don't know what she's talking about. So maybe this is it, right? Maybe the traditional console is going to have something we've never seen before. But do you really? Like, I doubt it. Like, I really doubt it. I really don't think. I think when she was talking about biggest technological leap, she wasn't talking graphically. I think she was talking about feature set wise, and I think she was talking about their Xbox handheld. And being able to essentially play your entire old library on handheld, which technically really hasn't been done before at all, and being able to seamlessly transition with Play Anywhere from your handheld to your older Xbox to mobile to PC if you want to a freaking Surface tablet, like it wouldn't matter. And I think that's what she was talking about. I'm not certain. I just think that's just my guess. But they're not doing a handheld no more. Aaron in chat says, yeah, Mario Kart isn't enough for most people.
He said what now?
Aaron. This guy, Aaron, in the chat said Mario Kart is not enough for most people to buy a Switch.
Shoot. Yeah, it is.
Mario. Oh, it is enough. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic because he just said he actually did say is enough. My bad, Aaron. My eyes. I don't know.
For you, bro.
I was about to be like, that thing sold 66 million copies. That thing sold more than more copies. The software sold more copies than the Xbox One. I mean, we can wrap this up. I just think that, as I've said multiple times, and I always end these conversations with this. Care more about what value is for you as a gamer, and instead of what corporations value. If a corporation is not providing what you feel is a quality experience, and you find you can get what that corporation provides elsewhere for cheaper or more value, you do that. Because they don't care about you. And this is not a Microsoft thing, this is all of them. Sony don't care about you either. Nintendo definitely don't care about you. Valve, you know, even though there's like a lot of Valve weirdo fanboys, you know, Steam is okay. I mean, look, Valve don't care. None of these companies care about you. You are a means to an end, and that end is your money in their pockets, and that's it. So do what's best for you as a gamer to get the best experiences that you look for and the ways that you want to experience games, and forget what these corporations feel, think, or want, because it's about you and what you want.
Yeah. You spitting.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this? We can get up out of here, man.
Nope. That is it, sir.
All right. Forte, let everyone know where they can find you over the next week.
Next week, Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation, DPS next week, Iron Lords this weekend, and a whole bunch of other things in other places. At work, literally, it seems. Matter of fact, I think Sunday's my next day off, and then after that, I'm like 5 days in a row because of Switch 2 next week. So.
Oh, man,
it's gonna be crazy. And then Pokemon launch tomorrow.
I'm really hoping at this point that we don't get an announcement of Fire Emblem for a few months, because if they just out of nowhere just go, and the next Fire Emblem's coming out in 2 months, I'm screwed.
July 18th.
I'm screwed, because there's no way I'm getting one. And I'm just like, no.
See, but everybody on this podcast.
Well, there is a way. There is a way. Forte is the way. That'll be the way.
Just remember, a month ago, when we talked about this and why you should buy one, I told you should just buy it because you know you're going to end up with one, and just keep it on deck for when it's going to happen. It's not like this thing. It's not like they're not going to make a Fire Emblem game. There will be a Fire Emblem game on the system.
But here's the thing, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. So I really feel like, yeah, of course they're going to make a Fire Emblem game. Mm-hmm. I'm not buying a Switch 2 in June and then like just sit on it for like a year.
It's not like but see the reason people say stuff like that is because they don't feel like the inherent value is going to be there.
I'm not playing it. I'm not playing anything else.
Listen, SloMo, let me ask you this.
And I played so much Fire Emblem, they sent me an invite to buy y'all, I got an email invitation from Nintendo to buy a Switch 2. Do you know what stats you have to have in order for Nintendo to invite you to buy a Switch 2, to send you the email, say, we got one on hold for you?
Is it like 50 hours or something?
Oh, no, it's more than that,
500
man.
hours.
Yes, it's something. It's I can't remember the number of hours.
It's ridiculous.
I have it.
Yeah,
and I got all them hours playing Fire Emblem.
Well, guess what?
two Fire Emblem games. Now I didn't. I know, because I know some people are gonna be like, you just let that go to waste. I gave it. I did use it, but it's not for me. It's for my boy. My boy is getting it for his son, and so he gave me the money, and I fulfilled the invitation. So the Switch I got coming in is not mine. As soon as I get it, my boy's coming over to pick it up. He been hitting me up like, yo, you hear anything in the emails? They saying, any shipping? He may be waiting at the house on the day it arrive or something. I don't know. But that's not for me. So if I want one, I gotta find another way of getting one, which I think I shouldn't have a problem. I mean, Forte work at GameStop. Mm-hmm, if anything, I'm just like, hey, wink, wink, hint, hint, hold one. When you get one in, and I send you that money ASAP, and it's a done deal.
You mean you won't procrastinate and act like you want it and really don't want it?
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh, okay, I'm just because I'll sell that thing to the next customer to walk in the door.
Right.
No, but seriously.
So,
but let me ask you this: what's the reason you don't want to buy it now?
I honestly really have been like teetering on buying a Steam Deck OLED. I have been fighting the urge, because Steam Deck OLED, I'll use that.
Okay. Well, yeah, because it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got my Steam library on it. I can play GeForce Now on it natively. You know, I don't have to use a browser or anything like that. I can play Xbox games on it. You know, I can do a lot of customization with that. I can hook it up to my TV with a cradle. You know, I'm about to go on vacation in a month. I could take that with me, play all the games I've been playing with it. Can't do that with a Switch 2. You know what I can do with a Switch 2? I can play old Fire Emblem games I've beat like 17 times. So yeah, so I might just do that. And that would be a better, you know, outside of all the home improvement stuff I've been spending money left and right on. You know, like if I'm gonna spend something for me, I'm more likely get a Steam Deck OLED than get a Switch 2 right now.
Okay.
Shoot. Might get a Steam Deck OLED anyway and emulate. No, I'm not, because I'm not trying to get Nintendo ninjas to come get me.
But they be at your door tomorrow.
But I might in the next week or two. Like I almost bought one today. I saw a real nice one on eBay for $350.
Jesus.
And I was like, that wasn't an OLED though, so I didn't get it because it wasn't an OLED. And it's not just that the Steam Deck OLED has an OLED screen. It's also got a better battery, and some other quality of life things are a little bit better. But like, I almost pulled the trigger on that. I almost got the Steam Deck the regular Steam Deck. I think it was like the 512 gig one, which is like $50 cheaper than a brand new one if you bought the 250 gig non-OLED one. I think that thing's like $400 on Steam right now. So I could have got that plus a case and a charger for $350. I was literally on the buy button before I got distracted with some other stuff. I looked up and it was gone. So I really didn't buy it because someone else beat me to the punch. I'm probably going to buy one before it's all said and done. And I'd rather spend that money on that than spending what $450? Is that it? Is that what the price is? $450?
Yep.
On a console I'm not going to use. Yeah, I'm good, man.
You will use it. Just wait for the game.
Eventually.
You can do what I did. Okay. I mean, listen, you can do what I did. I bought my PlayStation 5 day one and sat on it for a whole year just to play God of War.
Look, Dust Bloods is exclusive to the Switch 2. If Fire Emblem doesn't come out before then, I'm buying one for Dust Bloods. So I'm getting one in a year regardless. I just don't feel the need to buy it until I need it. That's all. But for myself, let's see. I've been doing a lot of streaming over the past week. If you guys haven't noticed, I've streamed on my Twitch channel. I've streamed on this channel as well. And so I've streamed Borderlands 1 Game of the Year edition, and I've also streamed the Division 2 DLC Battle for Brooklyn. You can expect me to continue that over the next week or so. So just look out for that. But as long as Forte ain't got anything else, we're gonna get up out of here, man.
No, let's get up out of here, man. Everybody enjoy your amazing weekend, and be ready for the Switch 2 if you're picking up one. If you're buying Pokemon cards tomorrow, make sure you got your fist up and
Pokemon cards. Good.
Oh yeah, it's a new set comes out tomorrow.
What's that?
Oh so good.
Who wants Pokemon cards, man?
What's that?
Yeah, look, I'm having too much fun with the soundboard. I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah, I see.
All right, we get out of here, y'all.
Hey, everybody said, wait, hold on. Oh, wait. Somebody, hold on. Yeah.
Nintendo wants to thank everybody in the chat for coming to this amazing live stream. And, SloMo, even though he hates every once in a while, we will get him on Nintendo Switch at some point in the future. It's just only going to take a couple of, maybe you have to pay him. We don't know. It's a hard sell. But we appreciate everybody. Hopefully you got your Switch 2 on pre-order. If you didn't, it's a good chance at GameStop on Wednesday, June 3rd, or June 4th, you'll be able to try to get one on that day because, if you don't get in, I'm sorry to say, your system's going to probably be on wait for like a good while. But with that being said, I haven't been here in a while because SloMo broke Super Chats and Super Chats haven't been working. Memberships haven't been working, which we are working in the background.
How I break it?
Well, listen.
How I break it? How is it my fault?
You're the host.
What's that mean?
So when you're the host, everything's your fault. But guess what?
Everything's my fault. Everything's my responsibility.
It's your fault because you broke Super Chats. But we appreciate all of you guys in the chat, and if you really enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe to it and hit the like button and share it with all your friends on social media. And I will see you guys on Wednesday next week for the most amazing launch of your life with the Nintendo Switch 2. Peace, guys.
Thank you, Yoshi. Appreciate that. Yeah, and we're out, man. I'm so tired. All right, peace out, guys.
All SloMo's fault. Correct.